I was brand new in PR and marketing, but I knew I wanted to transition over to either radio or news production. And I'd read about your Emmy, and I reached out to you and said, "Can I please interview you for this small magazine that I write for in my hometown?" And you said yes, and
Yes.
just been supporting you and amplifying your message ever since then. So to have this conversation with you means the world to me. So thank you for thinking of me.
It is an honor and such a joy to be back with you. I know there are so many questions everyone wants to ask the both of us. So let's get into the wonderful world of just a brief summary. I read your bio, which that is just touching the surface, y'all, just so y'all know. Touching the surface. And if you all are not familiar with me, I'm an Emmy award-winning producer, philanthropist, executive producer, director, and DJ from Chicago. I live in Los Angeles. Krista and I met in Chicago, and she now lives in Nashville. So, and shout out to Beyonce for bringing country back up to the surface for all of our people of culture, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
There's a presence in that world. Krista's in that world now. And just so y'all see that we are behind the scenes in every facet of the business, Ope is going to put our social, my social, and Krista's social in the chat so that you guys can connect with us on our social media platforms. But intro-wise, that's a little bit of background. She and I have worked in radio, television, digital, and all of the above. So any questions you all have in regards to that, please make sure you are putting them in the chat so that we can touch base and answer those questions with you. So Krista, of your bio,
yes,
what was not mentioned? Because there are things in there.
So it's hard to encapsulate just because I've been doing this for so long, but most recently, so for those who are unfamiliar, I do work at BMG, and within BMG I work at Broken Bow Records Music Group. And under that music group, there's 3 record labels. There's Stony Creek, Wheelhouse, and BBR, Broken Bow Records. And one of our bigger kind of talents that are under those labels are Lainey Wilson, who just won her Grammy, like about maybe, I think the Grammys was like maybe a month ago. So that's our label's first country Grammy ever. So I'm very excited about that. And a budding superstar. I mean, he's always been a superstar, but someone that I'm very proud of and actually helped me transition over to the countryside is an artist by the name of Jelly Roll. So I don't know if we're too familiar with him, but he actually used to be a rapper and transitioned over to the country space. And I started working in country about 2 years ago. I've always worked in urban. I've worked top 40. I've worked in R&B. I've worked a lot of throwback stations. But once I moved here to Nashville, right after the pandemic, parents are getting older, and I just wanted to be closer to my family. And once I moved here, someone presented the opportunity to be the promotions and marketing director for our R&B station and 2 country stations. So I was like, you know what? Why not? Magic happens outside of your comfort zone. I've never worked in country before. Let's just see what happens. Let's just roll with the tides. And fast forward 2 years later, I just saw this need for representation of not even just women, but Black women in country. And it's crazy, you all, how this Beyonce timing with her music is just watching the country industry go from where it was just 2 years ago up into where it is now, and just embracing all different types of personalities and diversity and background in the country music space has just slowly blossomed. So that's recent.
And Ed Lover.
Oh yeah, so
maybe it's before that.
Yes.
So that's my passion. What I want you to mention too, because that is one of your standout moments in how there was a break from that and then you regather. And so in radio, if any of you guys, everyone here is from different age groups that is watching, right? From high school, college, and then mid-senior level in the professional world. And some of you all may be familiar with Ed Lover, but he is an icon in radio and TV in the urban space. And so Krista, share a brief summary on how that happened and how you were producing for him and how that kind of disconnected for a second and came back together, and why you decided to be a part of that.
Yeah, no, I would love to. Emphasis on being in and out of jobs in radio. That is so normal. And when I was younger, I would be so terrified of that. But now, like looking back on it, I actually embrace it because what doesn't kill you make you stronger. And at the time, you're just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But let's see, I want to say 2016, I was working for a local radio cluster actually in Columbus, Ohio. I was working for Radio One, Columbus, Ohio, and I was the digital content manager. So I was all in the digital space for all four of our radio stations. So from content to interviews to social media tracking to learning our analytics and algorithms on social media, that was my full-time job. And I just have this itch to get back into the programming side of radio. Before I had this job, I was actually the executive producer of a syndicated show called The Michael Baisden Show. But that show actually ended, and it kind of left me in this weird space. I'll go back in radio, but nothing on the programming side. Let's just see how it goes. But there was a press release that actually went out around Radio One announcing the launch of the Ed Lover Show with Moni Love, and that as a digital content specialist, I would have to listen to the show live every single morning to schedule social media posts. And it was so obnoxious. Like, I can't stand waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning just to see what you guys are going to talk about today. So I reached out to a gentleman by the name of Colby Kolb, who is a big decision maker at Radio One. And I said, hey, Kolb, I'm here in Columbus. We love the throwback format. We love Ed. We love Moni. But is there some type of document that you can give us on like a weekly basis of what the topics are going to be? And lo and behold, he goes, well, unfortunately, Krista, that job is for the executive producer of the show, and we're actually looking for one. So if you know anybody that could fill the position and do the job, let me know. And it was almost like a message from God. Like, I think you need to apply to be the executive producer of the Ed Lover Morning Show. So I applied. Literally 2 days after I applied, Jay Stevens and Colby Kolb, who were both kind of at the executive level at Radio One, flew me out to Atlanta, and I interviewed with them both. I excelled with flying colors, and then I had to actually interview with Ed and Moni. And this is in the heart of Atlanta. I came in with my huge natural afro, and Ed was just like, I don't care who she is. This is the one I want. Like, she's very intelligent. She's smart. She's witty, she's dedicated, and this is the person that I want to run my board for my show. And within 2 weeks, I was out of Columbus in Atlanta producing the Ed Lover Morning Show. And long story short, I have been working with him since then. The show the syndicated show in Atlanta, unfortunately was canceled after 3 years. There was just some programming issues with the format. A lot of people just could not figure out programming throwbacks in 2016, 2017. I'm not sure why, because it's everything right now. But we took a break. But the benefit of that is in 2016, the same year that I started working there, I went to Morning Show Boot Camp. And Morning Show Boot Camp was preaching about podcasting. They were like, if you work in radio, if you are a radio personality, you need to start a podcast yesterday. So I took all of this information back to Ed. At the same time, there was this gentleman by the name of Reggie Osei, aka Combat Jack, rest in peace. He was a monumental move maker in the podcast space. Yeah. And he's in Ed's ear saying, Ed, I need you to start a podcast. You are a legend in hip hop. You helped internationalize hip hop. I need you to start a podcast. So it was like kismet. So I found out the groundwork. I had Combat Jack's executive producer help me launch Ed's podcast. And I think that's what's kept us so close. So we are now on our 7th or 8th year of podcasting Ed Lover's content. And it's just this revitalization of these stories from the 90s and late 80s and all of 2000s of just gritty, just natural hip hop that you just don't really hear anymore. And I'm so proud of that because at first, it's honestly speaking, it was not about the money. We were just having a great time. And then we figured out how to monetize it. And it's just this blooming just business that we've started together. And I love Ed. He's literally like an uncle to me, and he checks in on me. And I'm actually flying him into Nashville to speak on a leadership panel in a couple weeks. So Ed Lover is awesome, and I'm very grateful that I got the opportunity to not only work with him on the radio side, but actually start his podcast with him.
There is so much you just said in that, right? And I know that's a summary that's actually a summary of everything, right? But your journey took you from Chicago to
Yeah.
Columbus to
Yes.
Atlanta to Nashville. You
Yeah.
have opened, let's talk about this,
Mhm.
being inspired and open to opportunities no matter where they are. And mindful of the fact that you are now engaged. Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh
But
my gosh. No, I don't, my fiance is gonna kill me because I do not have my ring on right now. I was doing dishes, but thank you so
we're
much.
gonna protect the stones in the ring, absolutely. But
Exactly.
with that, during that time, you did not have kids, right? And you were not married. So it was you single, moving about, but being open to all these opportunities. And I know that some people watching may or listening may in their mind be like, I know I want to go here, I want to go to New York, I want to go to LA. But please share a little bit about your perspective and being open to opportunities no matter where they are and being ready to move when those opportunities show up, because some people have in their mind that they want to go somewhere, but God has another plan for
Yeah.
us, right? So please
And
share your perspective
you
on that.
took the words right out of my mouth, literally. I don't know if my circumstances are different, but I am from Kentucky. And at the time, I did not feel like there was a lot of opportunity for Black women in entertainment. Plain and simple. Like in Atlanta, there was plenty of opportunity, in Dallas and Chicago and LA, New York. But if something did not work out for me, my instant thought is, okay, you got to go back home to Kentucky to your parents. So that was my kind of like driving force. Like, looking back on it now, 10, 15 years later, of course, my mom and dad would have welcomed me with open arms, and they tell me all the time that they're proud of me. But I did sacrifice a lot of, I never actually really felt comfortable in one city for too long because I was always thinking about what's next. Like, how can I grow from this current position that I'm in? And how can I amplify voices like mine, like women in media who may not feel comfortable in certain spaces, but they want to go into that space. Like I just always felt it's just a gut instinct thing. And maybe my Holy Spirit, because I am a very, very spiritual person. So I think that my Holy Spirit was just always tugging at me like, hey, Krista, I don't see you here in Dallas. So let's go back home to Lexington for a couple years and try being a news producer. Oh, we didn't like local news, so let's move up to Columbus and see if we can get something in a radio cluster up there because I had heard that they were hiring. That was great. Oh my gosh, Ed Lover show, let's do it. Holy Spirit is giving me green flags, like take it. And then Ed's like, I'm going to Chicago. You want to do Chicago? Sure, I've already been there. Let's go. So I just always trusted the process. I trusted that God would provide me with a pathway to just walk down. I started in radio at 21 years old, didn't get engaged until 30, almost 37 years old. So that would worry me sometimes. I'm going to be honest. Like, I have not settled down in a market long enough for me to actually meet someone that I like. And I couldn't worry about that. I just loved the game more. I just loved working in music, and it's crazy how God works in mysterious ways. I'm still doing it at the same time, planning for a wedding at the same time, talking about conceiving and doing what we got to do to be healthy, to do something for like as risky as that. So it's just the process. You got to trust the process. If you feel something in like your spirit and you can't stop thinking about it, you got to do what it takes to walk the path that God has set forth for you, for sure.
And that was a beautiful way to transition to my next point, in not just trusting the process and the path, whether you're, what level of spiritual you are, no judgment here. We move in our own spiritual level and however that is, but the people that you encounter along the way and that give you these almost nuggets of like, they're like trails of this is your next step, this is your next move, connecting with Combat Jack's executive producer and connecting with Combat Jack, rest in peace. He was amazing. If you guys have not listened, and he has transitioned on, but his podcast was epic, like period. And you can go back and listen to it still to this day. But connecting with the right people. And you and I met so many years ago, right? But how things come full circle, and you never know how that relationship that you build like so many years ago is going to, come full circle for you, or when that is. You can't worry about that, but share a little bit about your perspective on relationships, and that it's not about the people that you look up to always, but some people that are just in your immediate, like right next to you, or that you just admire, and how important that is, and then how to build great relationships.
Yeah. I can't express enough like how networking has literally catapulted me into all of these career changes. And I made a mistake once. This is so funny. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, but I made a mistake once. I was working at the radio station in 2014, and my program director at the time was like, "Krista, we want you to capture some digital content from this new guy. We really think he's going to blow up." And at the time I was like, oh, another one. I don't know what it was. I was tired or something. I'm so mad at myself. I think about this to this day. This young man comes in this Nike Golf Pro hat, and he sits down next to me, and I rushed through that interview, and it was good. It was fine. I didn't take a picture. I was such a like snob, and the nerve of me, I wasn't even really like doing anything like that at the time. So fast forward 2 years later, that gentleman blew up. It was Bryson Tiller. And ever since then, I have made it like my goal to never, ever sleep on anybody that God puts in my path. Like, rather it's an artist or a producer or a programmer or a production audio AV engineer guy. Like, I value just conversations in general. So all the way from like mentors, like Niena, I absolutely consider you one of my mentors, especially when I was new. And I remember just having conversations with you and taking notes. So the note taking process when you are with your mentors, I feel is a very key just aspect to have when you're having conversations with people who are doing something that you aspire to do. So I remember you told me something, and I wrote it down, and it just like it just resonated with me, and it was just like consistency. You just hammered being consistent no matter what it looks like, walking by faith and not by sight, and just being consistent with where you want to go. And I remember just running with that. And every network that I've ever been able to be in the room with, and they're giving me their time, and I know their time is very valuable. I'm always like just taking my notes and just making a note of something important that they're going to say. And I like to just shine on my individuality and tell these people in positions of power who I am and where I want to go. And just one business card, 100 no's, but that one yes can make a difference. Like, I can't express to you enough, Niena, how many people in this industry have told me no. I have heard it countless times, but I've also heard some valuable yeses, and it's completely just set the trajectory of my life. So from mentors to people that just God put in your path, to going to events, to networking with people. I love a good women's networking event. I love music festivals. 10 years ago, South by Southwest was such an amazing networking tool for me. I'm not too sure what that is now because I've aged out a little bit of the festival space. But if you guys find yourselves being pulled towards going to some type of festival, or if you know somebody that's even working in the festival space and they give you an invite, please do not miss out on that opportunity. It's so crucial when it comes to just networking in general. Rather you're in the music space or you're in the creative space or in the art space and marketing, it's just a lot of those opportunities. I would encourage people to just seize those moments and network with everybody. Don't exclude anybody, for sure.
That is absolutely, absolutely so many points that you made. And one thing I want to circle back on is mentorship, right? Not just networking. What we really are, the summation of what we're saying is build great relationships, right? Because when Krista and I met, she didn't come to me and say, "Hey, Niena, I want you to be my mentor." She never asked that question. You know why we have stayed connected so long is because we're both genuinely, like, we just love each other, period. And I saw how passionate she was. I saw how smart, witty, sharp, excited. There was like this energy. I remember when I first met you, there's an energy that you have to have. You have to just be excited about your life. Be excited about the opportunities and the possibilities of what you can do. And when someone sees that in you and come to the table and know, and Krista knew who I was, right? She knew,
absolutely.
She had the background on me. She did a little research, you know? So that showed that she, you know, is going to be thoughtful about her intentions and have good intentions, right? So from that first connection, it was just automatic from there. I wanted to do anything I could, whether it's just cheering her on, referring her to someone else, like whatever I can do to be your cheerleader and to help you elevate to whatever your next level is. That's how our relationship was built.
Absolutely.
Right? And I don't think anyone should just walk up to someone and be like, can you be my mentor? Just because you see other people admiring this person, you don't know who they really are. So I would encourage you, do your research on people, 1. 2, be excited about your life, your journey, what you have going on, what you can possibly do, and find out what this person's energy is when you meet them.
That's right.
Right? Because you could admire somebody from a distance, and when you meet them, you're like, they take the air balloon. It's like,
for sure. And what,
you know,
what helped with you, Niena, in particular was I was still so confused with my own life journey, and you had not come from news, but dibbled and dabbled in news, but you were also in entertainment. And that's exactly where I was in my journey. I was graduating with a broadcast journalism degree, and I could not figure out, where am I supposed to go? Like, how am I supposed to not be bored by the news? I don't want to work in the news. And then that's when I had come across you, and for a moment, I was like, I just want to be as genuine as possible when I reach out to this person, because I'm going to be honest. I was so lost. Like, I had no idea where I wanted to go, what avenue I wanted to take. I just knew that I appreciated entertainment and media, and you were just so excellent and polished at that, and you still are. I mean, God, look where you are now. But at the time, I just remember just being so green. But I don't remember in my entire career ever just going up to anyone and saying, will you be my mentor? It's a very kind of what's understood doesn't need to be spoken type of energy, for sure.
Yes. And if you find, and this is the thing, we have to calibrate who we are and who we are going to show up to be every single day. And when I say calibrate, I mean, get a morning routine, get a night routine. And before you walk out your house to go to the grocery store, go to the mailbox, get on a phone call with somebody, make sure that you are balanced within who you are and what you're trying to do. And it's not easy getting there every single day, but that's going to put you in a position to win, no matter what you're trying to do, no matter whether you're trying to go grocery shopping or go to a networking event or accept an award, right?
Yeah.
I want you all to be very mindful of how you are showing up in the world, because what you think you may be doing may not be receiving by others in that same way.
Exactly.
And it's important to be aware. That self-awareness is no joke. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I will compliment you on, is that whether it was a elevated achievement or an unstable, I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Krista has always been 100% genuine, right? And that is real. That's just who we are. Nobody's perfect. Nobody has done everything right. We're still making mistakes. All of us, even at my level, even at everyone's level, we're making mistakes, but that is how we're learning. That's how we're growing. That's how we're creating real, genuine relationships with other people, because we're being vulnerable with the right people, though, right? Like, not everybody, and everyone doesn't need to know your business. Everyone doesn't need to see your failures on social media. We're not saying that you need to expose yourself to the world. We're saying connect with the right people in a genuine way and allow those people to share commonalities with you and help elevate you to your next highest level. That's what we're saying.
I think what you said earlier, just about setting your intentions for the day, like just having, I always, no matter how dark it may have gotten by myself in new markets, in new cities, I always set my intentions for, I am going to do something great today. I am going to help somebody today, or I am going to manifest something awesome that's going to stem and grow 5 years from now. So intentionality is really good for sure. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, and making sure that you not only have good intentions, but that you're looking for people, other
Mhm.
people that have good intentions. Because unfortunately, everyone does not have good intentions.
Tough. It's tough, Naina. Like,
You
I
know?
actually learned that the hard way because I'm like the way I was honest and truthful and open with you, I was doing the same thing with other people in the business as well, but they didn't have necessarily as genuine intention. So I would learn the hard way. But like I had said earlier, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. I no longer affiliate or associate myself with people who didn't have good intentions for me. But I always feel no matter how far advanced you grow in a space, there's always going to be snakes in the grass. Like there's always going to be some type of, I guess I can call him a hater, but sometimes people don't just have the good intentions, and misery loves company. They always want to bring people down with them. So I agree with it. Just keep your eyes open, stay woke.
Yeah. And
Stay
especially
woke.
in this business, because the business of music, television, radio, all of the facets of, and under the umbrella in film, all of the facets of entertainment that fall under that are full of ego driven people
Mhm.
in front of the camera and behind the scenes. You'd be surprised. So for those who, are either pivoting, like some people are coming fresh into the industry, right?
Mhm.
And then some people are pivoting outward in. They're like, oh, I've been an engineer, a software engineer for years, or a teacher, and now I want to be a TV writer. Like,
Yes.
we want to be honest with you and let you know that there are so many amazing things that you can have and do and create in this world, in this business, but make sure that you have self-awareness of who you are and that you are coming to the table with good intentions and that you're leading with help, which is one of the things I always tell people when you're looking for um, help from anyone. Don't ask, don't be a taker, be a
Sure.
giver,
I agree
and lead
completely.
with help, but also be mindful of how people move and interact with you and make sure that they have good intentions. And when they don't, and this could be individuals, this could be an organization that you're maybe working for, whatever, know how to make a graceful exit. Because
Mhm.
I did a whole webinar on making a graceful
Yes.
exit
Yes.
because that is absolutely a very important way to make sure that you move correctly. People,
Yeah.
whether you want to stay connected to them or not, you're gonna possibly see them again.
And it just
Right?
shows character. It just
Yeah.
shows character. And I am so happy you said that because 22, 23-year-old Krista would not even believe that whatsoever, just to be completely transparent, because your relationships in the business matter, but sometimes you give so much of yourself to a business or an organization for them to either let you go, or they have a format change, or your show gets canceled for unforeseen circumstances. You want to lash out. And if there's a way to take that energy and channel it into something more positive, I 100% suggest that. It's such a great character builder to not burn any bridges. I really mean that. That's so
Yeah.
important.
Not, and it doesn't matter, like you said, how they treated you,
Hmm.
right? You can tell people who they are, but move gracefully.
Amen.
Make a graceful exit, no matter what you do, because your reaction to something is not going to just impact that person. It's going to impact your reputation, and it's
Exactly.
going to follow you wherever you go. Because truth be told, there's always someone watching, right? There's always someone that you are not aware of that are watching. There's people watching this that we may not even know, but I hope you are enjoying the show. That's what I say, because I know whether someone came to the table with good intentions. For me, I always was compassionate. I was always considerate. I was always kind, and I always made a graceful exit. You can never say that I did you dirty ever, but I could say otherwise probably about you.
Amen.
but
That's the
but
biggest.
but,
When they
but
go
I
low, you can.
right. But that's the thing. And I also don't find it necessary to keep that narrative going either, right? So if you have a bad experience at an employer, at a job with an individual, you don't even need to talk about it because karma is real, right?
I was gonna say law of attraction.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, absolutely.
it is what it is. You don't have to pour salt on someone's name or say bad things about them.
Mhm.
The truth of who they are is going to show up in other situations,
Absolutely.
right? And so you don't even have to say anything. The universe takes care of that for you. So I just encourage everyone to this job market is challenging right now. And it's been years since I've ever seen it like this. It's not like this. And in my position with EDF, I'm kind of in the middle of those who are seeking these opportunities and the employers that are looking for the great candidates. And there's so many people that are applying for jobs that, one, are not qualified, but two, have really unsettled negative emotions from previous situations. And I encourage you all to find your balance again, so that knowing that whatever happened, it may seem unfortunate and uncomfortable right now, but there are great opportunities and great employers who are not going to be the same way as the previous situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Available. They're available.
Work environment is so different at different employers. I did not know that as well. So as you're recapping this conversation, I actually transitioned out of Cumulus into BMG because I wanted to work at a label, but I also valued their work environment. So that's perfect. I'm so happy you said that.
So one question I always like to share too is, like, when you're in an interview process, and I have specific things that I share with people on how to find this out. How do you know whether the management is good and it's a culture that you want to work in, and that the culture of the community of your coworkers in that company is going to be a healthy environment for you? Are there certain questions that you ask? Like, how do you know you're walking into either a danger zone or a happy place?
Wow, this is a perfect question because this literally just happened during my transition to Nashville. So the first question I ask is, what are there mentorship programs? Are there organizations or groups or subgroups within the company that I can join where I want to, whether it's a POC or a diversity and inclusion organization, or are there I want to make sure I word this right, because this was one very big indicator that helped me realize, oh, the work culture here is different. I asked, are there organizations within the company that I could join to help me network and meet other people within the company? And when they say yes, that makes me feel like that they're fostering their employees internally to grow within the company. So they don't, a common thing that I'm reading right now in a lot of employment kind of articles and things of that nature are saying it's a 2 to 3 year turnaround for companies and employees within companies. So I'm noticing that more organizations are building programs within their company to keep and retain their staff, so that way they're not gone in 2 years. So when I ask that question, what are some organizations that you have within the company that help me feel accepted, not only as a woman, but as a Black woman? Or are there mentorship organizations? Are there any type of, I guess, ad hoc organizations I can join within the company? And it's so funny, my employer before this said no, but what is it that you need? And another red flag that I do notice with a lot of hiring companies is if I hate to say this, but it's the truth, Niena, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. If it sounds too good to be true and they're not putting it on paper, it's probably not true. Unfortunately, that's the case. A lot of people get so excited in interviews, especially when you're qualified, possibly overqualified. If it sounds too good to be true what they're saying, oh yeah, as soon as you're hired, we'll be more than happy to do this for you. But make sure it's on paper. If it's in my contract, or if it's in my comp memo, or if it's in some type of black and white correspondence, okay, there's some legitimacy to that. But our management, sometimes they're not perfect, but especially in radio, no offense to radio, but it's the entertainment business for a reason, and people love saying things to make you feel good, just to get you to kind of cross that threshold and come over to their side. But I've worked for a lot of radio companies that will have an excellent mouthpiece and say what they need to say to get you there. And then once you're there, it's not how it was in the interview at all. And that's just not fun. So, two things. One, asking about individual organizations within your employer that you can join to meet other people in different markets or in different countries. And then, if it sounds too good to be true, put it on paper so that way you can hold them accountable for what they say. Those are definitely my top two.
Absolutely. Those are very, very good tips. And I would also, like in some, depending on the type of position you're applying for, you may end up interviewing with several different managers.
Exactly.
If you never get to meet your actual direct report, like the person that you're going to be reporting to on a consistent basis, ask to speak with them before you accept the position.
That's important.
That is very important because you need to know who you're going to be talking to on a daily basis. This is the person that you're going to literally have to check in with, get data from, all types of information. And so you want to make sure that and then I have wanted to work at certain places just because I admired the person that I was going to be working under. I was like, she's bomb. He's so smart. I want to learn from him. And that's a way for you to know whether you want to work there too. There's people that 9 times out of 10, people usually leave organizations because of bad management.
That's exactly, you are like, wow, gospel, like you are preaching. What's so funny about this, Niena, is my current employer, my boss, I have worked with her for the last 2 years on this seminar called Country Radio Seminar. We both have been on the planning committee, and I loved her management style. I was like, wow, like this woman is so commanding, but in a very professional way. And when she walks into a room, people are like, oh, there she is, there she is. I would love to go where is she at? And I put the bug in her ear maybe like 8 or 9 months ago, and fast forward to top of the year, she reached back out and said, hey, Krista, I don't know if you're still looking, but I'm hiring in my department if you want to come over to the label side. And there's so much importance in what you say about just seeing someone that you admire. And that's how you can tell what the atmosphere is like. And also echoing what you said, it's a lot of times when people choose to leave as a company is the order of operations or the management. It's hard to give your 100% to a company when you're not confident in your leaders, especially if you're growing into a leadership position, or if you aspire to be a director, or if you aspire to be a VP, or if you aspire to be a senior manager somewhere. I think there's a level of confidence that you have to have in your leaders and your management of your employer in order for you to deliver 100%. That is so important.
Are there, and then we're going to get into Q&A. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have not put your questions into the chat, please do so immediately, because I want to respect everyone's time. But any like top 3 life lessons and or career lessons that you would impart on everyone who is listening, no matter what level they're at, because like I said, everyone's at different levels here.
Absolutely.
So your top 3 life and or career lessons.
Yes, I wrote these down when I thought this was a great question. My top 3 life lessons, I would say change is always constant. So always accept change. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I know that is so cliche, but there are moments that I can recall back in my career where I just was like, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to executive produce a syndicated show with a hip hop legend across 100 markets? And with the grace of God, I was able to do it, and I did it for 3 years. And I'm grateful for that, for sure. And the last one, if God is with you, who can be against you? And I wish I would have learned that lesson at a younger age, because I used to be so intimidated by people who were, I guess, above me, or I thought were big wigs in media and entertainment. And I would just be so intimidated by their presence that I would literally sometimes stop stuttering and get nervous. And one day I remember going to a church service in Atlanta, and the pastor at the time was just talking about, if God is with you, no one can be against you. And that just really helped build my self-confidence, that one line. Life lessons, career lessons, magic happens outside of your comfort zone. If you're getting too comfortable, then that should be a red flag. There's such thing as stability. I'm not saying deviate from your stability, but if so much more can happen to and for you when you do things that are just slightly uncomfortable, like go to that networking event, you know, that I don't know, you were wary about going to, or go talk to that young lady in the corner who's standing by herself. You never know what she can, you know, you all can leverage each other and see how you guys can help each other in different ways. Pressure makes diamonds. I really feel like that. Sometimes the pressure can get hard when you do, or you are on a job search and you're consistently looking and you're just feeling like the pressure of, oh, when is this going to happen? I'm telling you, like, don't let it break you, let it make you. Pressure makes diamonds. The last one, do not stress about things beyond your control. Let it go. If it has nothing to do with you, let it go, period. Honorary mention, Niena, and I'm done. 80% of the job is showing up. 80% of your job is just being present and listening and active listening. If you ever are applying for a position and you do get it and you're there and it's a bit overwhelming, consistently showing up every single day, active note taking, active listening. For a while, I was the first person in the building, last one to leave. Now I'm a little bit more about efficiency and time management. But if you feel the need to do that, so that way you're present in people's faces, that's so key. That just helps you stand out, for sure. So yes, I love those. I hope those help somebody.
I
Sure.
love those. Those are so good. And they speak to your journey and
Absolutely.
everything that you've said up to this point. And so thank you so much for sharing those. I'll just give a few, and mine are both life and career. And I
Yes.
said, you know, this before is, always make a graceful exit. Always make a graceful exit. I don't care how bad somebody was to you, make a graceful exit every single time. My mom said this to me: you pay for what you don't know, so learn as much as you can. That doesn't mean you have to do everything. That means you have to know what you're doing and what you're hiring other people to do so that you know that whether they're doing the job correctly or not.
Love
And
that.
do not take things personal in this business.
That's so good.
Please, please don't take things personal. You have no idea why somebody else got this job. It could be somebody's cousins, aunties, nephews, baby brothers. Okay? I need you all to have peace that what is meant for you is going to be yours, and it's not going to miss you if you show up with good intention and you are doing everything in your power to be a good person and to be smart, be sharp, and give yourself grace. That's probably, one. I have so many life lessons, but give yourself grace in this process. It is
Yes.
not easy. There is no handbook of life. And if there was, I'm going to write it, guys, because we need,
No guidance. I get it.
there is
Yes.
no handbook. It is not easy. And there's no way that we can do this alone. We've helped each other, even though Krista considers me a mentor of hers, she's helped me, right? And I think that we all are here to help each other and help us elevate. And even when times get tough, when you have good people in your life, no matter if you talk to them 10 minutes ago or 10 years ago, and you all connect with the same vibrant, beautiful energy that you did before, that's what matters. That's how you know that person is meant to be in your life in the best way. And so hold on to the people that are good to you and be good to them.
That's right.
And I think we got some Q&A. Yes,
Hey,
ladies
awesome.
and gentlemen. I'm gonna look at a couple questions. Okay, if there's any that I missed, please drag them in to, I see, what is your advice about moving up where you are? Do you leave if they say no? And how do you make that request? That's a good question. Aaron's one of my other things. Hey, Aaron. So that's a great question.
My advice, I make it very known in all of my interviews that I am taking this position to learn and grow within the company. That's
in the beginning.
In the very, very, very beginning. Yes. Like I set the tone the moment I'm in the interview. Like, I just want you to know that I'm grateful for this opportunity that is presented to me. I am going to excel at it because I am that confident in myself. And I hope within my trajectory matches with yours, and there's growth opportunities for me within the company. I honestly, back to that honorary mention about 80% of the job is showing up. Um, those especially now on remote work schedules, right? Like some people only have to come in 3 days a week. Some people only come in maybe 2 days a week, but there's always that tribe of people that loves what they do and they come in on those days that you're allowed to work remote, but those are honestly key decision makers. My CEO of my company, even though we're allowed to be remote on Mondays and Fridays, I make sure that at least 1 or 2 Mondays a month, I just pop in because that's his only downtime because he knows that everybody's remote on Mondays and everybody's remote on Fridays. So I set intentions of find that time to just be seen by people that hold those key decisions to help you grow within your career. I don't necessarily just walk up to somebody in the office and say, "Hey, I'm ready to get promoted now. I've been here for a little bit." But again, your Holy Spirit, my Holy Spirit has always been such a key indicator in decisions that I've made. I did recently leave a company because I did feel like I reached my glass ceiling and there was nowhere else for me to grow. And God opened up another door for me to walk through it. So if you say that prayer, write in that prayer journal, speak out loud, God, can you show me if this is what I'm supposed to be doing? Because it don't feel right. It feels a little regressive instead of progressive. And he will answer. I really, really mean that. So setting your intentions day one, be seen, and trust your Holy Spirit.
Those are absolutely great tips. And I would add to that, and this is what I recommend everyone doing when I do my LinkedIn and my resume workshop, which I have done. And if you have not joined that, I do it once a quarter, y'all. It is gonna get you right, okay? But what I share with you all in that is I want you all to start making a history work kind of list for yourself. This is not something that you share with anyone else unless they are helping you in your career path, like a career coach like myself or someone, right? But sometimes we forget all the things that we do. So when you need to walk into your superior or the HR department and request during your review period or outside of that, it may be before or after that, and ask for a raise, ask for a higher title, ask for more money, ask for more benefits. And benefits and elevation in your current situation come in different ways. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're changing like departments. It doesn't mean that you're just getting more money. There's all things that you can ask for. And I'm happy to help y'all with that later. But what I will say is this: make a master work history list for yourself. This will include data, quantifiable results. Okay.
It's great. I'm writing this
You
down.
all can actually walk in the door, because again, you're going to do so much in these positions that you're in that you're going to forget sometimes. Say you did a festival, say you did a panel. How many people showed up to this? How much retention did you get? How many new members did you sign up? How much sales did increase? How much, reviews did you get on something, right? You need to be keeping track of this. They're keeping track of it on their end, but they're not always going to share that data with you, right? And so you all make what I call a master work history list. This is going to help you not only update and apply for jobs, but it's going to help you when you need to walk in and ask for more money, more title, more benefit, etc. Okay, that is the one gem I'm gonna tell you. There's so much other, but
that is gold, Niena. That is gold. I do not mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but that is master craftsmanship, what you just said. Like, I can't express that enough. Our bonus structure at my old job was based on ratings, and I would always hit our bonus. And I would just, okay, well, I made my bonus. So I'm obviously doing something right. But there was still that level of imposter syndrome because I wasn't keeping track of everything that I had accomplished with that cluster, from getting promoted from just one R&B station to 2 country stations. Like, I should have listed that, and the ratings going up once I took on those stations, like, gold. That's gold. I'm going to start doing that.
Yes. And that's how you walk in. To answer Aaron's question directly, that's how you walk in and get what you want. And if they say no, then you at that point say thank you. You walk away, you create a timeline, a personal timeline. This is not to be shared with anyone except for a career coach, on what your next strategy on elevating outside of that company possibly or opportunity is going to look like. You plan it, whether it's 6 months, 2 months, 3 months, 3 weeks. I do not recommend this. Do not make an emotional decision.
Yeah.
Unless you have to go, unless it is like compromising your health, your mental, or your physical stability and safety. Otherwise, you plan it. You walk outside. And this is what my mom and my other mentor used to tell me. You walk outside, you go for a walk, you let the sun hit your face, and then you come back and you strategize on your escape from Alcatraz. You do not do a job on emotions. No, ma'am. No, sir.
You do it.
That's how you do it. Okay. This is a long question, blah, blah, blah. I have applied. Let me see. Okay, that's a EBF application question. Please go to our website, look under Crystal and Clarabelle. They are the ones who handle our applications for our internship program. Let's see. Another question as it relates to negotiation, what would be the proper way to go about that? I mean, when you walk into the room with quantifiable information and data that
Numbers
says,
don't lie.
yeah, I exceeded, that data needs to exceed whatever the standard baseline was, right? So if they said you need to increase sales by 10% and you were keeping track of this and you increased it by 20, that's how you get more money. That's how you negotiate. You negotiate with facts, not emotions. Facts, 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 period. Point. It is not about emotions because the data should speak for itself. That's how you negotiate. Anything you want to add to that, Krista?
No, perfect response. I literally, nothing. Perfect. Okay. Numbers don't
lie. What are some upcoming pitfalls, what are some uncommon pitfalls to avoid in an interview?
Uncommon pitfalls to avoid in an interview.
I say not being prepared to ask questions. If you go to an interview and you haven't done your research on the people you're going to be interviewing with and the company that you're interviewing at, and you don't have questions to ask at the end, that is a waste of everything.
Red flag. Yeah. And you should, every time they say, well, do you have any questions? You have to ask questions. It's so important for you and knowing what their work environment is like, but also it's such a signal to them like, oh, good. Like they really are interested in this role. And this is something we actually left out. So they are a benefit to us by asking this question. That's a great response.
This is another, how do you manage your responsibilities within the role? It's a question for me. And how is the business of Beauty News Buzz? Beauty News Buzz is going great. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my media company that I started to help tell the stories of brands and companies that are of people of color that in the beauty space. So follow Beauty News Buzz on social media. But how do I handle this? I wear a lot of hats. And what I will say is time management is one of the most amazing skills that you need to learn. I relearn it every day. I'm just being honest with you guys. I have to manage all the things that I do, from TV shows I may be producing and directing to the relationships that I have with the AMP members and EBF and the DJ gigs that I get. Like there's so much in the TV shows. If you guys have not watched my latest TV show that I'm actually starring in, it's VH1 Celebrity Squares, shameless plug. So awesome. First full season of that show on VH1 and on BET.com. You can watch episodes on both websites, but it's a lot to manage. And it goes back to my life lessons. Give yourself grace. Man. You know, give yourself grace. You're not going to be able to do everything at the same time. Yeah. You can do everything you want to do, but you can't do it at the same time.
Yeah, you'll get
one human with 2 hands, 2 eyes, 2 legs, and 2 arms. That's it. Whatever your max capacity is, and then know how to say no. Know how to say no and not feel bad about it. Be like, you know what? And this is my latest. I know how to say no a million ways without saying no. I'm going to challenge you all to learn that skill. Learn how to say no without saying the word no. Let me give you an example. That sounds like an amazing opportunity. Unfortunately, I don't have the capacity right now, but I wish you well and please keep me posted. You see how I just said no?
Graceful, very graceful.
Right? I want you all to learn that and do not feel bad about that, because if you know your intention was to actually participate in that thing you're being asked to do, that is how you manage your time. That is how you manage your mental, emotional, and physical capacity to push yourself to the limits. And then that is how you keep relationships well, right? So that's how I manage all the things. Let's see, what are some tips to stand out in this job market? I'm a recent grad and it's been a little hard. Understandable. I think we've given a lot of tips. Anything we may have missed?
No, I feel people give up really easily now. And I know it's super hard. It is very, very hard in this market. However, consistency is so key. I also encourage people to look for, there is no shame in a second job. So if there are internships that are paying and it may not hit your monthly budget, there is no shame in picking up an added source of income. So that way you can at least intern at the place that, or be an associate of an associate at the place that you want to get information from, or at least get your foot in the door. I encourage that so much. When all I wanted to do was get my foot in the door in radio, and someone took a chance on me, and the pay was awful, the hours were excruciating, but 3 years later, I ended up being the senior producer of that show, all because I took a risk and I had to get a second job then. And this was 2012, 2013. So I can only imagine like how difficult it is, but there is power in internships and super entry level positions so you can get your foot in the door and get recognized, because all they need to do is see you shine. As soon as your foot's in the door and they see how dedicated you are, and then they hear that you have a second job too on top of that, like it's so much opportunity that comes from that. So that would definitely be my piece of feedback.
I'm gonna go through the last couple questions, speed round, because we are
Yes.
over at this point. I want to be respectful of you guys' time. Would like to know how you maximize the connections you make at networking events. Follow up. That's all I'm gonna say, Krista.
A personality, like Niena hit it right on the nails, genuineness and just being kind, and people who are networking will ask valuable questions. Like, so who are you? Where are you from? Tell me about yourself. What do you want to do? And be honest in those answers. Just be yourself. I really see that is the most valuable part of networking is, well, here's where I'm at now. Here's where I would like to go. If you have any feedback you'd love to share for me, I would love to hear it, and take that. And 9 times out of 10, they will give you a business card or their Instagram and DM me. Most of the time, if they can feel that level of genuineness that you're exuding, they will look out for you for sure.
A question from a gentleman, Mark. He says, how do you believe social media has impacted upon your ability to take your work to a higher level? It is your own TV station, ladies and
Super
gentlemen.
fact.
You have your own network at this point. It is Instagram.com/Niena Drake /Krista J. Hayes. And we have our own TV stations and radio stations, AKA. That's what social media has done for you. We, Krista and I, did not have these readily and openly and visibly available to the world. You have a stage, the biggest stage on the planet right now, to show who you are, what you do, how well you do it, right? Use it. That's all I'm saying.
I love that. I echo that. Nothing else needs to be added.
Thank you for your words of wisdom. Everybody says thank you. Thank you all so much. What advice do you have for those without much experience early in their career or pivoting to break into the media business?
That's a great one. Oh man,
don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. Be consistent. Be nosy. I know that's crazy to say, but stay in the know. Like, social media comes into play here as well, because a lot of networking events have social media accounts. So if you want to be in, I don't know, journalism, you can follow your local journalism chapter, or if you want to be in radio, there's a women in radio organization that's wonderful on social media. I think those are the resources that you need if you're really starting at the very, very beginning, is taking those initial steps to find where your people are and find your tribe.
That's a great tip. That's so important. And the other thing I would add to that, in addition to those organizations, if you're still in school, join all those. But if you have graduated, join the professional level of these organizations, go to their events, meet the people who are speaking on the panels. Most of the time, those are people who have been with the organization for many years. They have relationships, they have connections, they have resources that they are happy to share with you if you are honest, genuine, excited, and really humble and leading with help to join in the industry. We want to welcome people in this business that are here to do great work. There are people in the space that are not here to do great work. We want and need more of you all with good intentions. And so when we meet you, all we want to do is help and shower you with the resources that we have, but you have to be humble enough to realize that, accept it, and use it and handle it with care. Please handle it with care, because if we see that you are not taking the resources that we're sharing with you seriously or negligent with them, then we will cut them off very quickly. That's basically what it is. And what I will add to that in addition is, and I tell this to people when I go on one-on-one calls all the time, if you need to schedule a one-on-one call with me, please do so, but you have to be in the AMP network in order to do so through this channel. I have other ways of doing career coaching, but I'm happy to do this. But I will share this with you all. If you have not tapped into your alumni network at your university or school or college that you went to, you are missing one of the biggest resources you have access to. You paid this school, whether it was in financial aid, loans, or scholarships, a gang of money. They owe it to you to help you succeed. Call the alumni office at your university. Tell them straight up, I am a graduate. I'm about to graduate. I graduated this year. This was the major that I worked in or that I studied. I want to work at X company, Disney, whatever. Who from the alumni community works there? Can you make an introduction for me? It is very simple. This is their job.
You are telling the truth. I am a testimony. I am a walking testimony of that. My first radio job ever came from an alumni from the University of Kentucky, and that's where I went. So there's so much validation in that. 100%.
Like, please, you all, you have professional organizations available to you and your initial college, university that you went to school at. That is if you tap into those two, you have a mountain of resources available.
Yes.
Let's start there. You then call Krista.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to answer when you call, but I'm going to ask you that first.
Right. Okay. All right. One last question, and then we got to let Krista go. She has a busy life, honey, ladies and gentlemen. This is a long question. You previously mentioned have awareness and showing balance when showing up everywhere and make sure people, blah, blah, blah. Can you give a concrete example of this point so that I can understand? Okay, basically, when you think you are at a networking event or a social event and you think you are being social and meeting new people, but what you are actually doing is just talking to the people that you know when you go to these events, because it feels more comfortable. It feels uncomfortable to walk up to a stranger and say hi to them. Hi, my name is such and such, and I do this, and I just would love to meet you, or I admire the work that you did. That's what I mean. You may think because you walked into the room full of strangers and you're only talking to the people that you know, that you're actually being social, when in fact, you're not expanding. And like Krista said earlier, being uncomfortable with getting to know more people. You also may think that your face-to-face communication with people is vibrant and exciting, when in fact, it might be uncomfortable and awkward. So what I would say is maybe start with talking to people that you know. And this is a trick that I use when I go to social events and how I get out of conversations, because people will come up to me and ask me, questions, speak to me. I will remember people's two things, make it very simple for myself. I remember their name and the city they're from. Nice. And then I'll introduce them to another person. I'll say, Jill, this is Susie. She's from Idaho and she works at NBC. Meet her, and I'll walk away and go meet some other people.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I introduce people to people at these events, right? Once I meet them, I introduce them to others. So that expands my chain of people that I met, and it also helps them meet more people. So I don't know, do you have any tips specifically on, being in those spaces and making sure that you are forcing yourself to be uncomfortable and meeting new people?
Honestly, I was an only child, Niena. I always wanted to talk to everybody. So it just came so natural. Like I've never been afraid to talk to anybody. I don't know why.
For
but
you.
if I could give I used to have sometimes if I was really though in a space where I felt completely alone, especially working in country music, you don't see a lot of people that look like me. I do say a small prayer. I do have a moment where I'm like, Lord, just through me, just let me be your tool. Speak through me. So if I do have a moment where I feel that angst or I'm uncomfortable or I don't know anybody, but I know I could benefit from being here, I will, under my breath, take a second and say what I said earlier about if God's with me, nobody can be against me. And I'll literally say, Lord, just speak through me. Just let me be your tool. Whatever my purpose is of me being in this room, just let me walk in your purpose and I will be good to go. So if I have those moments, I definitely tap into my spiritual side for that
I
extra little
love that. Oh, amen. And I'll share with you all what I say. I meditate every morning, and after I meditate, I say my affirmations. But with that, I end it with God, spirit, universe, angels, please guide my attention, help me focus my attention and guide my intentions. I want my intention to be good everywhere I go and everything I do, and help me focus my attention so that I don't get distracted by the things that are not needed for me.
Exactly.
So, I think it's a beautiful way to end.
I love this so much.
Oh, this was wonderful. We are just happy to be here in the virtual world with you all, and the fact that we are able to do this now is such a blessing. I hope this was the inspiration that you all needed today and at this moment, and whether you listen to it or watch it later in any form, that this finds you when it needs to find you, and that Krista, her words and her journey gave you motivation and inspiration to not give up, to focus on the things that matter, and to be open to beautiful opportunities, no matter where they are in the world, so that you can walk into spaces that you are the unicorn in the room, and that you get comfortable with being the unicorn, and that you find your own way in ways that you never even imagined.
That's right. Perfect. Excellently put. Honestly, I am so grateful for you. Just your wisdom and your character and your presence. Every time you pop up, whether it's on TV or on a podcast or online, I am so grateful that I got to meet you. And I'm grateful that you asked me to be here with all the beautiful people. Thank you. Please, anybody needs anything, I'm more than an open book. So do not hesitate to DM me or reach out to me. I am more than happy to help you with whatever you need, for sure.
Thank you so much. Our socials are in the chat. Krista, please say your socials just in case somebody can't see the chat, so that they can follow and connect with you on IG and on LinkedIn particularly. And then mine is the same, Niena Drake everywhere. It's the same on X, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just look that up. But Krista, share yours so people can know where to find you.
Of course. Yes, LinkedIn and Instagram should be the same. They should be Krista J. Hayes. X is Krista J 3183. But yeah, reach out to me, DM me. I will be more than thrilled to have a conversation with you, for sure.
And give us grace, because we are busy professionals. So if we don't get back to you immediately, circle back and say, hey, I emailed you a week ago.
Oh, I love persistence.
Yes, we love persistence, and we love a follow-up, and we love grace. It's not that we don't want to help. It's just we have a lot of people that want and need our help.
Exactly right.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you soon. And
keep shining.